Hello and welcome to this week's Wow Live, our appointment with Awe and Wonder in collaboration with the University of Essex. It is Brain Awareness Week this week, and for the occasion, we have something really special today for you. We have two Baby Brains trainers here with us who will present the work that they've done with two further Baby Brains trainers, so four of them, put together a wonderful selection of papers and of studies regarding perinatal mental health. They've put them together in such a way that they will bring to us the wonder of the brain of expectant mothers and how that really impacts everything. So thank you so much for doing this work to them. And what's really special is as well that much of the work has been done. The studies have been carried out by Dr. Silvia Rigato and her colleagues, who of course are the same people that partner with us to do these Wow Live weekly events. So it's really special to have this wonderful synergy of women going on. So without further ado, I will introduce them to you. We have here Anna Morley-Fletcher. Hello.
Hi,
Thank you.
everybody.
Hi, Hannah. Thank you so much for being here today. And Sara Scocco.
Hello to everybody. Thank you, Silvia.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Welcome. And thank you so much for doing this wonderful work and for being here today to share it with the public, with everyone. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you, and to Silvia for giving us this opportunity, and thanks to Silvia Rigato for giving us the chance to present her work and to scientifically prove the slides and the notes about her work.
Thank you so much, everyone. And I'm going to let you carry on with the work. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, so I think we are going to start right away with the presentation, with the slides.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah, for being the one to take care of that.
Hannah, can you see the slides? No?
Not yet.
Let's see. Because I have uploaded them, but let's see. Slide this maybe. Can you see them? No?
Not yet either.
Okay, sorry for the technical problem.
Hello.
Hi. Can you help us
I can
out?
try to add them.
They were working before, so I don't know why it's not working now. Let's see. I will try.
Yes,
Echo.
it works now.
Okay. Okay, great. So Hannah, just tell me if you see the slide moving. Yeah?
Yes, I see them moving.
Yeah.
I see them moving.
Okay. Okay. So today we're going to talk about the maternal mood and its actual impact on the well-being of the infant. And we decided to name this presentation "Mom and Baby Are Fine." Why did we choose this title? Because right after a baby is born, usually what we seem to only care about is his mother's physical health. So as long as they are alive, they breathe, then everything seems to be fine. But is that really the case? Or maybe we are missing something else that is important. So we are going to discuss this in our presentation today. So for those of you who don't know BabyBrains is basically a bridge between the scientists the neuroscience labs of some of the most important universities in Europe, and families, parents, which is basically the people that actually use the scientific findings. And so, as I was saying today, we are going to talk about this hot topic, which is not so often, it's given attention, even though it does have an impact on the well-being of mothers and of babies. But before going deeper into this topic, we are going to do something that we usually do at BabyBrains Labs. We're going to play a game because we learn through play. So for those of you who are following us on Facebook or on YouTube, I'm going to show you two pictures. And I'm going to ask you to either comment or send a reaction, only in the case in which you like the picture that you see on your right-hand side. So when you prefer the picture that you see on your right-hand side, please send a reaction or a comment. Okay, ready? First couple of pictures. If you like the right image, please send a reaction. Here I go with the second couple, cow and a little bunny. Here is the third couple, a tiger and a little kitty. If you prefer the right image, send a reaction. And then Snow White and the warrior, Ken. Next image. If you prefer the right image, go ahead and send the reaction. And now this, and we do not want to know which one you prefer. That stays within you. But jokes aside, so we wanted to make you laugh a little bit. But jokes aside, the matter is rather serious. Why is that? Well, if, as I think, you picked in the majority the images on your right-hand side, so all the puppies and Snow White, which, if you think about it, it does have something in common with all the puppies. Well, you are, let's say, normal, quote unquote. Why is that? Because puppies, as Konrad Lorenz and Walt Disney knew pretty well, are somehow designed by nature in a way that attracts parents and adults in general, and makes them prone to take care of them, to nurture them, and not to be aggressive or yes, not to do bad things to them, because they have this round head, these really big eyes, small ears. Altogether, they give us a feeling of taking care of them. So on the one hand, nature has done such a remarkable and wonderful job in making sure that puppies, that when they are born, are so vulnerable and so much in need of our attentions and our care. Nature makes sure that these attentions and care are provided by adults. But not only nature did this. Nature also made sure to really make sure that we fulfill this goal at our best, because it has to do with the survival of the species, of course. Nature also did something to the human brain, and in particular to mother's brain, to make sure that mothers are more prone to attune and take care of their babies. Isn't that right, Hannah?
That's wonderful how you said it. Yeah, what we do know is that during only one pregnancy, a woman experiences levels of various hormones, cortisol and estrogen being the ones that reach levels that she will not reach for the rest of her life. And that all these hormonal variations and the body changes that we all obviously know about actually also carry other changes along, specifically in brain structures that undergo a sophistication process, let's say. They become more sophisticated, they become more specialized in their function. And this makes mothers really specialized, really competent in attuning to their babies. What researchers found in one particular study that we're quoting here is that mothers develop these specialized saliency networks, which makes them more prone to picking up all the subtle and not so subtle signals about the well-being of the offspring, of their baby. And to make you laugh a bit about this, but to also give you a sense of what that actually might mean in everyday life for every mother. We put this image of a radio. What does a radio have to do with brains? It's obviously a simplification, but what we meant is it's a bit like, think about you like a singer or a type of music very, very much, and you turn the radio on and you listen to it. But at some point, even if you like it so much, you want to switch it off, which you can't if you're a mum. And what you want to turn off, what you want to switch off is your saliency network. It's constantly on. Your brain has undergone those changes and it has grown into that sophistication. It cannot ungrow the sophistication. You can't undo the process. So it's there, and which obviously promotes the survival of our species where human babies are particularly helpless and vulnerable because we are, we still have to do a lot of growing and learning. And that's why we are so wonderfully adaptable and plastic in brain terms speaking. But it also gives us a sense of how tiring that might be for mothers. But we can't turn it off. It's always there. So there's sophisticated system which brings along a huge potential and competence actually makes us also tired, and it can be very consuming. So as Bowlby put it back in the 50s, it is fortunate for human babies that they are so, and for their survival, that they seem so seductive, and that they conquer their mother's attention and care in a sense. And that's the wonderful and perfect design put out there by nature. And on the other hand, mothers are designed by nature to have this very specific program going on in their brains that makes them very prone to picking up the signals of the baby. I can't hear you, Sara. I think your mic is not. I can't hear you. Say again.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's
okay.
Wonderful.
All right. Now, I was saying, but there is a but. And the but is that all this sophistication, all this potential comes with a higher vulnerability for mothers and for parents in general. So let's take a look at some facts about perinatal mental health. The World Health Organization tells us that 50% of parents find the life-work balance a source of stress. Also, 39% of mothers do experience depression before the 12th birthday of their child. And the same goes for 21% of fathers. Also, if this wasn't enough, we also know that the perinatal mental health of parents does have an effect on the mental health, on the well-being of their children up to 10 years from birth. So, what is depression? How do we measure depression that we talk about? Well, basically, health professionals, mental health professionals, to measure depression, what they do is they administer questionnaires, self-administered questionnaires, that the person, where the person has to read some sentences and pick the sentences that better fit to their emotional state at a certain moment. So here they are in Italian, but I will give you an idea of what they, which areas they try to detect. It has to do with the mood, with the sad mood, with the energy, a low level of energy in doing things, the feeling of guilt, the feeling of being irritable, the feeling of being more prone to cry, be losing interest and pleasure in doing things, the feeling of being tired and to have fatigue in doing things that were not so hard before. So then what happens is that the mental health professionals assign some scores to the sentences that the person has picked. And summing all the scores, they end up with a overall score that either falls or doesn't fall into a cutoff range. And so it is possible to label people as being depressed or not being depressed. But as many things in life, things are not so simple and clear as we would like them to be sometimes, but are more nuanced. So if we, for example, if we take a look at these pictures of women, and if I was to ask you to pick from a gut feeling, which one of these women you think is experiencing depressive symptoms, it's very likely that you would either pick the first woman on your upper left-hand side, or the woman with the red apron, because they look like the image of what we have in mind when we think of a depressed mother or a depressed woman. But the truth is that potentially all of these women, even though they don't look like it, but potentially all of them could be experienced some sort of depressive symptoms. It may not be so evident, may not be so obvious, also because when people experience depression or in general mental health issues, they feel guilty, they feel ashamed of it, and so they hide or disguise their actual feelings, and they look like they are okay, but beneath the surface, nothing is really okay. So if you look at these data, which are not so happy, but still we need to look at them. These are data that were collected at the University of Essex on a sample of mothers that had attended the BabyBrains lab. And if we look at the yellow, orange, and red columns, that represent the depressive symptoms, respectively mild, moderate, and severe. Well, we can see that altogether, mild, moderate, and severe symptoms account up to 42% after 2 weeks after delivery, and they go to 36% after 12 months after the baby is born. Someone might ask, why do I need to be so concerned with symptoms that are below the clinical cutoff? You know, like maybe I should only be concerned with symptoms that are severe. The problem is that we know now from research that even mild and moderate symptoms do have an impact, do have an effect on the well-being of the infant. And what we know is that the severe and clinical depression has been studied in mothers, and the majority of papers focuses on clinical depression and on its effects on the infant, but they look on the effects only right after birth and after a few years, for example, after 5 years or even later in adolescence. And again, it is striking, it is surprising that we do not have as much research as we would expect, considering the high percentages that I'm showing you of moderate and mild depressive symptoms after birth, and also considering the impact that we know these symptoms have on the well-being of babies. Dr. Rigato and her colleagues tried to fill this gap with this study, where what did they do basically? They collected data from a non-clinical sample of women, and they measured their depressive symptoms with a questionnaire like the one I showed you before at 2 weeks after delivery, 4 months, 6 months, and 9 months. Not only, but at the same time point, they also measured the infant temperament. And in particular, this temperament was also measured by a self-report questionnaire that the mother would complete. In particular, one specific dimension emerged from the questionnaire that was measuring the infant's temperament, which was the negative affect. What is the negative affect of an infant? Basically, the negative affect is the tendency of the infant to experience some sort of negative emotion, negative affect, such as fear, anxiety, anger, sadness, which is shown by the proneness to cry more, to fussy more, to be less inclined to adapt to changing in the environment, basically a greater emotional reactivity. So they measured, as I was saying, the depressive symptoms in mothers and the negative affect in the infant. And also they measured it, as I was saying, in specific windows throughout the first 9 months of the infant's life. What did they find? What they found was that the maternal depressive symptoms predicted, as measured at 2 weeks, predicted significantly the negative affect of the infant at 4 months. But something else emerged, some other effect emerged at 4 months, some other effects from the maternal depressive symptoms emerged at 4 months, that better explained what happened to the negative aspects of the infant at 6 months. In other words, the negative aspects of the infant at 6 months could not be completely explained by what had happened at 2 weeks, but was better explained by what also had happened in terms of the mother's depressive symptoms at 4 months of age. So overall, so this model, we can say that the depressive maternal symptoms have a cascading effect on the negative aspects of the infant, which is delayed in time. Okay, so you cannot see the effects immediately. You can see them delayed in time, and the effects are cascading. So they're not once and for all. It's not that what happens at 2 weeks is okay, you are doomed. Whatever happens afterwards doesn't count. It's not like that. Okay, cascading means that there are things that happen in certain windows that do moderate the effect, that do have an effect on what will happen next. So this brings us to two possible conclusions, two possible hypotheses and ideas for future work. The first of them being that the support that we give to mothers should not be focused only on the first weeks or first months of their baby's life, but should be a continuous support throughout at least the first 9 months. So we really need to find ways to give mothers a support that does not end, does not stop after the first 40 days, okay? The second thought, the second conclusion is that we do have some potentially positive windows where we can work, where we can make things happen that improve maternal depressive symptoms. And the things that we can do in these windows can have a positive effect on the way the infant will feel. Okay, so what we do to help the mother does have an impact later on how the infant will show at least his negative aspects. But to understand better what this social support means, I'd like to have Hannah talk about this and see what you can tell us about.
Thank you, Sara. So, as you beautifully explained, these time windows do give us hope and a lot of opportunities to actually help mothers and support all mothers. What we do know from literature is that there are some studies that have focused on the impact that social support might have on mothers' populations with clinically relevant depressive symptoms, but we aren't aware that there are any studies focusing on the impact for a general mother population. What we do know from literature around these studies with these particularly disadvantaged populations where there was a compound effect not only of maternal depressive symptoms but also other risk factors, is that social support did have a significant positive impact. So we know from literature that not only a pharmacological or a therapeutic approach work, quote unquote, and specifically we know that the promotion of self-efficacy in mothers had a significant positive impact. And that just makes sense, doesn't it? If we think about how often mothers are given a message that they aren't doing very well as mothers, are they? Their baby isn't sleeping enough, or they aren't, I don't know, put well together enough, or whatever it is. So the idea that a mother feels not good enough is actually quite common. Why is it so? They're doing a wonderful job, and a very tiring and consuming one, as we have seen. So promoting the self-efficacy, the sense of self-efficacy has a very positive impact on maternal overall well-being and maternal mental health. As we know also from a very recent work from, again, Dr. Rigato and her colleagues, this one is from 2022, regarding a sample of mothers during the COVID-19 pandemic, and how the sense of isolation that came with it actually impacted them, and how social support might represent a moderating factor in that context. So can you please carry on, Sara? Sorry if I can't. Thank you. So that gives us reason to think with a broader perspective in mind, not only with the goal of curing disease, and so giving our attention and focusing our services as a society, aiming our intervention at mothers who present clinically relevant symptoms or particularly disadvantaged situations, but to work with the goal in mind of promoting health. And that would represent the sort of Genesis approach. And in that perspective, if we start about thinking to promote health, we would like to think that a positive parental experience, sorry about the slides, everyone. We didn't make it in time to actually translate them properly from Italian into English, but we'll get there. So we would like to think that a positive parental experience should not only be possible, but should actually be normal in the sense of being common, the most common experience. And so that as a society, we can then focus our research resources better at those cases where this isn't the case. But we have to start to think in a different way about how we actually go about parenthood and motherhood specifically in our societies, to actually make it, to actually facilitate these process that you see pictured in this image, where we would see more of a virtuous cycle instead of a vicious cycle, where babies are competent and not necessarily always so efficient and clear communicators, but mothers are most definitely designed by nature to be very, very sophisticated receptors for their signals. And so that creates a virtuous cycle where baby sends a signal, mother receives a signal, mother then tries out how to respond to the baby. Most of the time she gets it right, sometimes she doesn't. Eventually she'll figure it out, and she is in the best position to do so. She's perfectly, wonderfully designed by nature to do so. Baby is wonderfully designed by nature to be taken care of, but we have to put mothers in the position of actually being able to dive into the resources that nature has given them, instead of being burdened by the lack of support around them. And so you see here a picture of other changes that mothers undergo structurally in their brain during pregnancy, how this is an added layer to the peculiar physiological phase of motherhood, which is physiological, and it is a huge change also in brain structures, but we don't acknowledge that as we usually would do, for instance, for adolescents. And it leaves mothers exactly like teenagers more vulnerable to developing depressive symptoms, to developing even depression, to developing distress in any way, precisely because they are so sophisticated in their potential for being the perfect caregivers that they are for their babies. Can you? Thank you. So to wrap it up, we do think that, again, a positive parental experience should be possible, can be possible, and we would like it to become the norm. And it's actually up to all of us to make that happen, because this is not something that has to lie on the individual shoulders on any mother. It actually is a role we all as a society have to play in order for then mothers to truly be able to dive into the very complex competencies and capabilities. And we have to acknowledge that our brains were designed at a time where we did not have the services and societies that we have today. And we are designed to be in relationships. So it is not very particularly surprising that mothers need social support. It does just make sense for our species, doesn't it? So it is up to us, and what can we all, so not just Sara and I, or we as BabyBrains trainers, and not even the neuroscience researchers, who we again thank very much for this work, but what can we all do, all of us, to support mothers? And we would like you to go home today and think, or be at home today, and think about all that you can do, starting with the small things. As you've seen, self-efficacy is a big thing, is a big deal. So even if you start tomorrow just by thinking about how you talk to mothers and about mothers, that might actually be a huge step forward, much more than what you would think. And we'll be very happy to hear and to read all about your ideas specifically. Please write them in the comments in YouTube, or send us an email, or leave us a comment on Facebook, because we don't want this to, be a conclusion today. We would like today to be just a starting point in a broader conversation and reflective process that then hopefully will lead us to better support and outcomes for mothers and babies around the world. So thank you very much. Sara, do you want to add anything?
No, I think you said it all very, very clearly. So we wait for you in the comments, or you can write us an email at ilpartopositivo@babybrains.com, and let us know what you think. What do you think of this paper, and what do you think of what can I actually do to support mothers? So I think we are done.
Yeah,
thank you.
And thank you again to Giulia and Cecilia.
And
yes. Yeah, and all of you that are following. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.